Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Off Track with Hinch and Rossi, I think. Hi guys, what's happening? Good chat.
Yeah.
Good chat.
Just hanging around, bro. Just hanging around.
What
Another
changed
day.
in your schedule, Alex? Because you were originally not able to do this today, and then you were.
What changed in my schedule, James? Nothing. Other than a dinner got pushed back a little bit, so I have more time to shower and stuff.
Nice. Yeah, it was helpful because I'm on the road tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday.
Where are you
that's a
going?
complete
I mean, I know
lie.
what you're doing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but what are you doing the
There's
next 2 days?
nothing to do on Thursday. I can promise you that.
I've got to drive up to Road America.
So that doesn't take 3 days.
It does if
but
you're
then
doing
Friday,
it the Oregon
Saturday,
Trail
Sunday,
style.
I'm horse and buggying it up from Indianapolis
Ford the river.
to northern Wisconsin.
Becky's going to die of dysentery.
I don't think that takes 3 days. Yeah.
No, I've got to go tomorrow. So we're doing this on Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I've got to go. That's what the little icon in the corner of my computer is telling me. I've got to go up to Toronto tomorrow to do your job. I'm doing a car launch of a McLaren at a dealership in Toronto.
Nope. I have nothing to do with McLaren outside of the United States of America. So unaffected.
I know. I do because you drove for a time for a Canadian McLaren team, but that time has ended at least for 2024.
Like 4 days. Yes.
I believe
yeah.
it's called PFAF.
I believe you are incorrect. Thim.
Why? How would you know?
I honestly wish it was PFAF because that's so much cooler.
It's a funnier, objectively funnier thing. That is true. No, so I've got to go do that, and then I've got to fly. So I fly tomorrow morning to Toronto, do that tomorrow night. Wednesday morning I fly to Montreal, and I'm doing a shoot for Honda with Red Bull and Max pre-Canadian Grand Prix. And then I got to fly back to Indy Wednesday night. And then Thursday morning, drive up to Road America. We're going to camp at Road America this year. We're getting a trailer. We're getting a camping spot. Going to finally do Road America the way I've always wanted to do Road America. So I'm excited about that.
I've done the Road America camping in like an actual tent, and I do not recommend it.
Because
the whatever cars are on track at 7 a.m. are loud as
yeah, no, you can't have like good sleep-ins. That's true.
That doesn't matter. It was great. I had a great time. I raided Andretti Hospitality after they closed.
I still do that.
Even now that it's like the Car Mahal or whatever.
Well, no, I've never been in that one, but like when it's the tent, the standard one, I still go in there and get ice creams for sure.
And I doubt the big one is going to be at Road America. It's probably just the old school one. So good call. I mean, I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations hasn't expired on that one. But whatever, it's all good. I'm going to still do that. But also,
it's only trespassing if they ask you to leave.
I don't think that's how that works, actually.
That weirdly kind of is. Like if it has signs that says no trespassing, that counts.
Right.
But if there's not anything that explicitly tells you not to go somewhere, you could be there until they ask you to leave.
But
interesting.
That's like saying it's not breaking and entering unless someone explicitly tells
here.
you.
I am not a lawyer.
By that logic, you're saying it's not breaking and entering unless someone explicitly told you to not break into their house.
No.
I think with houses, it's different.
Because breaking and entering requires you forced entry. If it's an unlocked door.
Is that true?
We should probably stop this because none of us know what we're talking about. I started this. That's my bad. I feel
like it probably is true because like I've been I mean, again, not houses, but I've been told if you leave your keys in a car in your driveway and it disappears, the insurance company's like, tough.
That doesn't sound right.
That isn't because somebody's trespassing on your property and then stealing your stuff, regardless of, like they could walk into your garage and if your garage door's open and steal something from your house, that's still stealing just because, So I don't think that person was being entirely truthful.
Anyways,
that person
that
got
guy
that on
just
Reddit.
stole a car. That guy just stole a car and he was trying to justify it.
Sure. Anyway, I am definitely not going to scrounge cooking and eating material from Andretti Hospitality this weekend. But I am going to have a very good time camping at Road America because it's always been my favorite. Like even like when we used to race there, obviously you can't like stay up by campfires all night or whatever. But like I would get on the pit bike with Becky and we just like cruise around the campsites and say hi to random people. And, so a lot of the mechanics camp there too. So you kind of hang out with them and it was just fun, man. I just love that. That's my favorite track. I love going there. I love camping there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Alex, you should come by for a barbecue.
I'm good.
I think so. You don't want to come by for a barbecue?
When are you doing it?
What day are you free?
Friday.
Friday it is.
All right,
We're posting up with Buzzkill and Katie.
If you wanna grill Friday, that'd be nice because that's the only night I don't have dinner plans.
Sweet.
Let's
do it. Is Kelly in town? Oh, she's coming later, right?
She comes Saturday.
Copy. All right, sweet. Okay, so that's Road America. We'll get to that. We should probably recap Detroit.
I don't think we have time. I mean, we have plenty of time to recap the actual parts of the race that we're racing.
The green flag parts?
Right.
Yeah. Recapping the plethora of caution periods. And
did you know that I read a stat today that there was once a yellow period that was 55 minutes?
Where?
I don't know.
That
doesn't sound right.
No, that could have been like
in our race.
No.
Oh.
The whole race was only
2 hours and 1 minute.
2 hours and 1 minute. We weren't yellow flagged for exactly half.
That's not exactly, but okay.
In one time. Sorry. For basically half in one go.
I mean,
I could see combined we were 55 minutes under.
That's impossible because we only did 51 laps of green.
That's true. That's
on a minute lap. So
yeah, this is a fun stat we were chatting about. There's only been 3 races in history of IndyCar where there were more laps run under caution than under green. And we were only like 2 laps away from doing that at Detroit and adding another one to the list.
So Oriol Servia had a day. Driving the pace car.
Oriol Servia led the most laps. Unconfirmed reports that he did have to switch over to the backup car to make sure that they didn't run out of fuel.
So I was talking to somebody today about this because it felt like last year this was the race we all thought it was going to be last year, right? We all thought going into Detroit it was going to be a cluster of a race, and this was the cluster. But they pointed out like. Last year had a lot of yellows too. It just felt cleaner. Like
I feel like last year the yellows all happened in the first half and it was fairly green in this. Actually, that's not even true, is it? No, it's not. There was just more green flag passing that didn't involve and didn't result in cars in the barrier. So it just seemed like a better race.
Yeah, I think last year there were 6 yellows. I'm trying to remember the pre-race like stat, but there were 6 yellows and like 21 laps of yellow. So it was significantly less, but it was still a lot.
It was a ton. All right. So let's just work through your weekend then. We get there, second time going there. IMSA was there with the WeatherTech cars, so maybe that helped a little bit because like first practice was way faster than last year first practice. How much do you think that's guys just knowing the track versus the first time ever driving there versus maybe like the track just being in better condition?
All of it, I think. I think there was a lot of lap time that came in turn 9 with the resurfacing there. I think there was a lot of lap time that came on the brakes in turn 3. Having more race cars with more rubber helps and contributes. And then, yes, having teams in theory come with a damper program based on what they learned, the year before and starting with a setup that wasn't a shot in the dark and based on established principles and everything. I think that's all contributing factors to it. I think everyone was a little bit surprised with how much faster it went, especially considering the tire situation that we've talked about a lot. But yeah, I think I don't really know what to say beyond that. Like, it was still the same pretty track in terms of very narrow, not enough real estate for all the cars that we have. very challenging to get a lap. It's funny how we do these split practices, which are a great idea, but it's really only 20 minutes of one practice. It's like we recognize there's a problem, but in, let's call it an hour and 50 minutes of practice, we're only doing something about it for 20 of the minutes. So that's kind of weird.
I still feel like in those sessions, guys were tripping over each other.
Right.
Like
so it's like, okay, great, but like more, please. What else? The split pit lane. I think it's awesome. Like, I know that was met with a lot of skepticism last year, and it went off without a hitch. But now, like, coming back to it again, like it's just cool. Like it's nice to have the kind of like the energy that exists of like dueling pit lanes.
yeah.
It's very easy to like not have it be a problem. Like it's not like there's no risk associated with it in terms of cars hitting each other when they're merging or anything. So I think that's awesome. And I would actually love to see it in more events. Obviously that's not feasible for real racetracks, but like Toronto, which is a fake racetrack in my mind. Like, I don't know, maybe that could help some of the pit lane problems that we have. I don't know. If pit lane was moved and it was a split pit lane, could it be not so?
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
I mean,
I don't know the geography of that location, but
yeah,
that was obviously
worth considering.
That was obviously not considered when they had to redesign the track for the hotel that was built, which was no one's fault. But like, now that this has been a success story, is that something that we should consider in the future? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like if we went back to the other side. The original side.
Yeah, you raced the other side. I don't know. Would it be
I wonder
possible?
if like you could, because I'm trying to think of where the hotel stops and kind of why it caused a problem. So if pit lane was half as long but twice as wide, could you do it? I don't know. It would obviously take some reworking of some stuff. And man, it would be so much better if we could go back to that and have what is the racetrack now be like pit in, and what is pit lane go back to being the racetrack. That was far superior in a lot of ways for a lot of reasons. Yeah, it's a good point though. So that's good because you're right. It was met with a lot of skepticism, and obviously last year went off without a hitch. Last year though, we didn't have. This is what's crazy about last year. We didn't have any cautions in pit windows. Like there was no like full field yellow flag pit stops. Where this year we had a bunch of them because in one yellow we had like most of the field pit 3 times under that one yellow. But we'll get to that. We'll be right back. So, all right. So practice was fine, I guess. Cool. And then how was qualifying for you?
No, I mean, we sucked. We sucked. We were slow. I was a second off all weekend until Sunday. So that was very challenging.
Second off
to deal with.
But like, was anyone in your team quick in practice?
Not well. Pato was quick in practice one, as he always is. Like
low grip, just throwing it around.
Yeah. And then like the differential got pretty big in practice 2, and then Teo did a fantastic job qualifying 7th.
Teddy Porkchops pulled it out after a little shunt in practice too.
Yeah, got after it. So he was good. I think honestly Teddy was the best car. So I think he was 7th. I think Pato was 9th. I think Pato was
12th. But he started 12th because he had his thing. Yeah.
But I'm just talking about overall pace, right? Right. We were gonna barely transfer maybe, but caught some traffic, which is not an excuse. Like we weren't good. Like we started 16th. We maybe would have started 13th or 12th or something. What else? So yeah, it was a big struggle for us.
Balance,
really
grip,
all weekend.
All of the above.
I couldn't stop.
Oh, ever. That's sub up. Yeah, dude. Tell me about turn 8, because like turn 8, everybody went into multiple times. Was it worse than last year?
I don't think it was worse than last year, but it is a harder tire. We do have different brake material.
True.
It is very, very, very hard to get the tire in a temperature window, and that is the first corner to open the lap.
Right.
So like you do all your gapping and your prep stuff and everything, and then you go to open the lap, and that's your first braking zone, and it's usually like that's when it bites. I don't know. It's horrible. Like it sucks. But I think we were particularly bad compared to others, which required a little bit of a rethink of some of the things that we thought we had learned in previous events. And so we kind of abandoned ship a little bit Saturday night and showed up to warm up with a completely different philosophy that was actually really good. But it's so annoying when you come out of weekends like that, because it's like, well, what actually is our direction? Like, fortunately, we only have one more street course race left, so it's not the end of the world, right? Like I knew going into the season that we had to survive 4 of these and to try and just, sneak results when we could and be competitive-ish when we could, but like we weren't going to be good. And so we've done that really with I think an 8th, a 10th, and a 5th. If we could do one more of those in Toronto, I think it would be a win, basically, just because we don't have what we need to do to compete on street courses with Andretti, Rahal, Ganassi, Penske. We just don't have it.
Yeah, like if your worst result on those 4 tracks is a 10th, that's a pretty solid recovery, damage limitation.
Yep. So that's unfortunately kind of where we're at from a street course side. But yeah, what I was saying is like, okay, so is Toronto going to be more similar to what we had in Long Beach? Is it going to be more similar to what we had in Detroit? Is it going to be more similar to what we had in St. Pete? Because we've gotten 3 different answers at 3 different places. So we don't really know what to do.
I mean, conventional wisdom would make you think that it was, again, I haven't driven that Detroit track, but just the way that it looks and feedback from other guys, you'd think that Toronto was probably the closest one, because it's just also like super bad with bumps and surface changes and, piecemeal together bits of pavement and concrete. So, but yeah, who knows? At least you get 2 practice sessions to figure it out.
Well, at least you get 2 practice sessions with way too many cars on the track. But at least.
Hey, look, man, at least this one's almost 2 miles long, where Detroit's barely over 1.5 miles.
And the start finish line is in a place that actually makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
Or the all-star finish line. So, anyways, enough negativity.
Oh, wait, no, I had some more negativity to go over.
Well, no. I was going to say about my side.
Oh, got it. Good.
Let's just be negative.
I have other people I wanted to.
Yeah, let's be negative about things that aren't related to Alex Rossi and Darryl McLaren.
Well, okay, but starting that, can we just quickly cover your race from your side?
Sure.
Because we'll cover the race, but
your race wasn't negative. Well, I mean, the first turn was, but.
So, all right. So we start 16th. And we were on the prime to start. Everyone based on this year assumed that it was going to be an alternate race. After warm up, I was starting to have a very sneaking suspicion that it was not going to be an alternate race. And I wanted to keep some options open. So essentially, we started on primes, which is a big challenge there because getting tire temp on this particular tire is very hard. It had rained overnight. It was overcast. It was like low 70s, high 60s of a lot of very slow corners. So just hard to get the tire into an operating window. So we knew the start was going to be hard. I didn't think that I would end up in the 6-car
sandwich.
In the 6-car show on the outside of the first corner, but I did. Fortunately, I had so much experience going down runoffs that it was very easy for me to find reverse.
Dude, you found reverse like a champion this weekend. I mean, maybe you shouldn't have backed up right into oncoming traffic as much as you did, but
don't care. Not my problem.
I had a feeling that'd be your response.
Yeah, they can see me. Like, so whatever. Graham told me, he was like, you reversed into me twice. Like this weekend, I was like, okay. Like, I didn't want to be down there. It was yellow anyways, so like, who cares? Like, anyways. Like, so go around me. What do you want me to say? Anyways,
You shouldn't have been going forward there.
Yeah.
You know?
slow down. Damn, why are you going so fast? I can't go that fast. When I try and go that fast, I go straight. So then I have to back up. So what do you want me to do?
I'm helping you by making you go slow enough to make the corner. You're welcome.
Right. So anyways, I reversed out of being inside of Pato. And
phrasing again.
I was the car was a little bit bent, which was surprising, but like the wing and everything was still
not
good.
how you want the car to be, right?
I mean, listen, it was straighter than old Teddy Porkchop's car ended up being.
Bro, we'll get to that.
Right. So I want to get to the race, so I don't want to delay this too much. So anyways, we restarted like 20th, I think. And actually the first stint, like we were fast. We were very fast. And I drove like to 11th, past a bunch of cars, which was a lot of fun. And then the show began to unfold. We were of the group that decided that you needed to put wets on. I stand by that decision 100% because the race should have been green like 4 laps before it actually went green. And the guys that were on slicks would have been unbelievably hosed. I get where they were going. Like it wasn't super wet, but like you weren't going to survive on slicks. So you were better off to pit under yellow and put the wets on and then do a couple laps of green racing on the wets and then come in for dries, but it never went green. So all the guys that stayed out were made to look like these amazing heroes. And it's like, well, okay. But like, had it gone green, they would have either been in the wall or like going freaking 40 seconds off the pace. So I was like, right. It wouldn't have worked.
What was race control's justification? They said that it was that they were double checking the lineup or like
it was a reordering. Yeah. It was a reordering thing, but it still was. I mean, I haven't looked at the numbers, but like you had
it was
a car
long.
that right. You had a car. Scott McLaughlin was on slicks as it started to rain, lost in turn 1, ended up like kind of in the turn 1 barriers. No real damage to the car. He was just stalled. So getting that car fired back up couldn't have taken more than a lap. So then there's the procedure of opening pits and whatever. Fine. They did that. And then guys came back in the pits. And then the guys came back in the pits again. And we were still running around under caution. I still don't understand why it took so long to reorder it.
But so fast forward, we were on wets and it was coming to green and we made the call.
Yeah, right.
This is
coming to green.
Yeah,
right?
this is dumb because it's drying. So we went back to slicks. And that had ended up being a hell of a move because immediately after I kind of left pit lane, it went yellow again. And everyone realized that it was dry. So I essentially was on the same program as the guys that toughed out the wetness on slicks.
But better on
and
fuel.
Was there. It was better on fuel. So that was pretty cool. And so then we restarted in 6th, I believe, and drove up to 4th. And then there was a bunch of yellows. Again, I'm struggling to remember.
Impossible to.
And finished 5th? I don't know who passed me. Oh, Armstrong. Oh, no. So Dixon. So I restarted in 3rd. Dixon and Armstrong peeled off in front of me. And when I saw, Armstrong didn't. When I saw Dixon peel off in front of me, I literally came on the radio. I was like, oh, he just won. Because it was like, no, it was like, oh, clearly that was the right move. But also, everyone else on Earth was like, well, there's no chance that you can make it on fuel. I don't care how many yellows there are because there's like 50 laps to go. It's half the race. You think you're just going to get to the end? But like, I knew.
That's exactly what he thought.
So we restarted 3rd. We maintained position and we're kind of racing Marcus, but ultimately didn't really have the pace of Marcus or Kyle. Maybe a little bit more Kyle than Marcus actually. And then ended up getting beat by Marcus and Scott, who were on their massive fuel save program and made it work. So all in all, an up and down day, but considering we started inside a Pato in turn 1, it was a nice day to end with a decent result and not hitting. I didn't hit anything, which was nice.
Well, you hit Pato.
Well,
kinda.
I didn't Kind of. That was more just there was cars presented in front of me. Like it's not like I smoked anyone at any point. Right.
No. Which most a lot of other people did.
Exactly.
At some point. In some cases, multiple times.
Right.
Can we talk about some of the stuff that happened outside of Alex's race before the race? Like mainly I'm talking about Santino. And like, so man, I don't know.
On day one of Pride Month to be dropping gay jokes ain't the move, man.
Not a good look anytime. Let's start with he's behind, or he's his whole thing with Kirkwood. Let's start with that because I don't know. It looked like to me that he turned into him, but maybe there was something farther back on that turn where Kirkwood was doing something there.
Bell has an opinion.
Look, it's pretty simple. Everybody's gapping, right?
Yeah.
Foucci's on a lap, comes through 4, sees 2 cars in front of him. At that point, it's almost irrelevant what happens. Your lap is screwed. Even if those cars pull over to let you by, the confines there are too tight. Your lap's done. He decided to try to go for it. Kyle, who's trying to gap, was like, well, no, man, I'm trying to gap. Like, I don't want another car in front of me. He did move a little bit to the left. There's no doubt about that. But then when Foucci got alongside him, he just drove into Kyle's car, which is very different. So then Foucci's by and then sees Colton and essentially tries to do the exact same thing to Colton. Sorry. Colton's basically like, also, hey, I'm about to start this lap. I'm 1 corner away from coming onto the straightaway where the all-star finish line is. Don't pass me. So he kind of swerved in that direction to let him know he doesn't want him to go by. And he goes by anyway. So that's where it all kind of started. Kyle for sure moved first, 100%, but like it was irrelevant. It was unnecessary for him to do for Santino to be mad about it because his lap was already done. But the real issue is, as soon as they get out of the cars and Kyle walks over, he just pops over the wall and decides to start, digging fingers into people's chests. And
it feels real easy to act tough when you're in your pit box with your pit crew all there. Like, I don't know.
Look, man, he drives for AJ Foyt. That's the way AJ Foyt would have done it. And so maybe he's just, trying to do the 14 proud. Who knows?
And I'll be the first to admit I am biased to automatically assume the worst of Santino in any interaction that he has. Sorry. But it didn't seem like he was doing any favors to himself.
Kyle moved first, 100%. Everything afterwards was completely unnecessary and uncalled for. So like, it's just, how do you want to handle these situations, right? And obviously he didn't handle it well. He admitted he didn't handle it well. And I just, some of the comments in the interviews with him and Colton and Kyle were hilarious and very meme worthy. I was saying, like, as soon as it was happening, I'm like, oh God, I can't wait to see what IndyCar memes does with this.
And then I guess maybe I'm having trouble remembering. Was there a good amount with him in the race? Was he driving was Santino driving like that during the race?
He dropped Delio.
Okay, he dropped Delio. Yeah. He was smoked by Colton at one point.
Yeah. So that's when Colton was going into that turn. It didn't look like to me Colton was going to make that turn regardless of who was there.
Well, again, there was cars stacked up on the outside.
How little you know about racing. He was going into that turn driving the blue car.
I didn't say the blue car.
No, I know, but like
no, yeah, I know I don't know anything about racing.
Look, a lot of people got a lot of things wrong. There was when Colt went off in 5, Foucci getting the back of Santino, Will getting into Renus, whoever it was that hit Will on lap 1, getting into there was so many incidents of guys just getting it wrong. And because the track had been rained on and was slick anyway, and it looked terrible and everyone's professionals and should be able to get through it, but it is way easier to do some of those things than I think people realize. It's look, ultimately your hands are still on the wheel, your feet are on the pedals, you're in charge of the car. So yes, you do have to take some responsibility for it, but it was very, very difficult at times in that race, it looked like. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I mean, I would have loved it to see it go green when those guys who opted, it's not like they got trapped out there, right? They had every chance in the world. and they made the call. No, like Lundgaard's radio. I assume you ever watched the race. Lundgaard's radio, they were calling him in, and he got the radio. It was like he was leading at the time. He was like, "No, that we're staying out. We're going for this. I got this," and it was awesome, man. You were like, "Yeah, this is cool. This guy wants to take a very serious risk." Personally, I think it's the wrong call, but I love the energy. Let's go. And we just never got the chance to see it. It sucked.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we could have had another Marco at Belle Isle.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because here's the thing, right? If you're going around 20 seconds off the pace, just surviving, the guys in the wets only had to do 2 laps, and or a lap. 1.1 laps, and you've got enough of a buffer to pit and get the reins off.
For me, that was the other thing where it was not that hard to make the call. It's the shortest time loss of the year by a mile because of the split pit lane. So it was only like a 21-second loss, right? So I was doing the quick math in my head. I'm like, all right, we've been under yellow. I'm on primes. They're cold as shit. There's spray, and I see tire tracks into turn 3.
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna pass, dog. Like, no thank you.
I think for sure it was the right call. And even the guys, I mean, like Lundgaard seemed committed either way. Kyle's radio was very back and forth, and it was kind of like by the time they'd made a decision, we'd been running around under caution for so long, it looked like it was drying up and the rain had stopped. So it kind of made sense why he stayed out. But yeah, it's a bummer, man. It would have been awesome to see. Either way,
Sorry, before we go on, I have one point I've been kind of talking about with other people. Like the Indy 500, it had one of the biggest TV audiences the 500s had in years. And then, do you think going into that, if you're kind of a casual viewer, a relative new viewer, you watch the Indy 500, you decided to stick around and watch Detroit, not being like an avid race fan, do you think that was a bad race to watch, or do you think it was entertaining with those wrecks? Because I've seen a lot of that debate going on.
As someone that's not a new person to the sport and understands what's happening, I didn't think it was a good race. But okay. I definitely have heard people that are newer to the sport and don't follow it religiously. They're like, yeah, cool, action, passing, crashing, yell, whatever. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how you feel, Alex.
I don't know. Like I don't know, man. Like I don't like the track. But I don't blame the track. Like it's the driving standards, right?
Yeah.
Like I think the biggest issue is this. And I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but whatever. What else is new? The reason why the race was such a cluster and why we have 1 to 2 of these a year is because there is no penalties for driving like it has to be so blatant to get a penalty that people are willing to just throw out all sort of driving standard and respect for one another out the window. You couple that with a track that is incredibly narrow, too narrow, that is very penalizing of mistakes, that is very difficult to overtake. You get people that are really like ambitious because A, it's their only shot, and B, most of the time, as long as they don't do something too egregious, they ain't getting a penalty. So it's very easy to overstep that, and you get what you get. Now, I'm not saying that these guys didn't get penalties in the race, because obviously they did, because they were dumping people. But if they knew that, okay, if I hit this person and push them off, and I'm able to make it so they only lose 1 or 2 spots, I'm not going to get a penalty. They're going to go for that, right? Whereas if it was like, okay, if I hit this person and make them tap a wall, potentially break a toe link, but like not egregious, I'm still going to get a penalty. They're going to back it off a bit. It's just like we had at the Indy 500. There was a 45-minute drivers meeting, right, that we had going into the 500 because there were so many issues with restarts last year. People jumping the starts, people taking the piss, all this sort of thing. But there was also not a common consensus going into the 500 of, do we need a restart line? Do we not? Right? Where it's very, very clear consensus on road street courses that we want a restart line, out of a corner so that you don't have people dive bombing it in under green. 100% agreement. On the ovals, that wasn't an agreement. I was one of the people that wasn't in favor of that because so much of what is amazing about the Indy 500 is the restarts. But the point was, don't take the piss. Don't be doing stupid try and gain an advantage. And if you do that, you're getting an immediate drive-through. And that was very clear in the driver's meeting. It's like, we're not taking any bull. Stay in line. Don't jump the start. We're not going to police it 1 or 2 car widths. You know if what you're doing is wrong, right? We're not going to say that you have to be within 3 feet. But if you're like within 15 feet in your second gear when everyone else is first gear, you're going to get a drive-through. What do we have? We had awesome restarts without having to change the rule. But there was a mandate of enforcement that was like, if you do it, you're getting a drive-through in the biggest race of the world. If you have that for driving standards, okay, or whether it's a drive-through or some actual form of penalty, you're going to get rid of some of this. Mm-hmm. And that's my opinion.
I think that's great, man. I was saying after Barber, I think that the driving standards have absolutely taken a because they've been allowed to. Like every pass side by side in turn 5 ended up with the guy on the outside in the grass because the guy on the inside drove him out there.
But that's what you have to do. I don't blame the guy for doing that.
No, I'm not blaming them either.
Okay,
but like if the rule was
because that's what you're supposed to do. You have to do it, or else it's going to get done to you.
Right. So I get it. You like let's use turn 5 at Barber as an example because it's a good one. And you could use turn 3 at Detroit. Same thing. Guy lunges in there. Guy tries to hang on the outside. Bit of side-by-side contact. No problem. I get it. But if you push the guy off and you do not leave him enough room to stay on the racing surface, that's where the penalty has to come in. It's not even a mid-corner contact thing. It's an exit driving a guy out thing. And actually, in Detroit, most of the penalties were easy calls, right? Because you dump a guy and he goes all the way to backwards out of the race. And so it's not even a question. There was one, and I don't remember who did it because there was too many, but one guy got like give up 3 positions because he forced a guy out. I think those types of penalties need to be used more often to stop guys from doing exactly the thing you're talking about. Yeah. Like the one that stands out to me was the Grosjean and Foucci at the Indy GP. Like Foucci drove his left side wheels into the grass in turn 12 with a car on his outside. Like that's insane. I don't care that he lost 3 spots doing it. That absolutely should have been a penalty, especially because those two have been dicking around for the last 2 weeks. Like they should have stamped him for that. And that's not me being anti-Foucci. That's just me being anti-driving like a so,
which is being anti-Foucci.
Anyway. So, I agree with you, man. And it'll be interesting to see because this weekend was a big wake up call in that sense. They were dropping penalties left, right, and center.
But then like my counter argument to that is to not put all the responsibility on race control.
Well, and that's the balance. And that's what they're always going to say, right?
No.
What do you guys want?
So my counter argument to that is you can't even pass a car on the outside of the front straight without giving yourself a concussion. Dude, I had 5 hits of 5 to 7 vertical G going down the front straight, just being on the outside of someone because they're defending the inside because they should, because A, they don't want to give themselves a headache, and B, that's the race line. But like on what planet are we that the race line is against a wall on the inside of the upcoming corner? Like it doesn't even make sense. And if you go to the outside, it's so hard to get a pass because your car is in the air so much, you're actually losing speed to the car in front of you. So what are people supposed to do? They're obviously going to wait till the last minute to just ship it up the inside because it's the only way to overtake on the only passing zone on the track. Right. Okay. So dumb.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay.
Was it 5 hits, like 1 pull?
Yes.
Or like you did that 5 times and had a hit?
Every pull.
Every lap you pulled driver's right.
Yes.
You were hitting it. Because we caught one in warm-up, and I'm not kidding, man. It was Pato, and he was 4 wheels in the air.
Dude, it is the most, you wince, and you basically close your eyes. It hurts so bad. But, like, you don't have a choice.
No, for sure. You're not going to try to pass somebody.
Right. But it is so painful. Every time you get a run out of 2 early, you're like, usually you're super
like pedaling it, trying to time it.
Usually you're like, hell yeah, I got this guy. And now you're like, oh my God, here we go. Like it just is violent. It is so bad. So like dumb. The braking zone for turn 5, insane.
Oh yeah,
like dumb,
rattling the camera.
Right. That whole section 4 through 6, 7, like the layout, fine. Don't mind the layout, but it has to be repaid. Like it's just it's insane. It's not. It is not. Our cars are not meant to do. It's not. We can't do it. Like we're not supposed to be doing this. I don't know.
Even the
what else
sports cars are doing the same thing. Like they're driving down the left because it's bad in a GT car. You know, like they were ripping splitters off of cars on that bump in turn 5.
And so I get the reasons why. I actually enjoy the event. I think Detroit is actually a kind of a cool city. I think the location is fine. I think you need to find a way to put the capital in, right, to improve the quality of the track, and to, if there is any way possible, this is the hard part. That's probably not possible, but if there's any way possible to extend the track, right, so that you have one other passing opportunity, so that you have, a little bit more room to work, so people aren't so desperate in the only chance that they feel like they have.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And, Nashville had a lot of the same characteristics, right? Like the only place you could really get a pass done was into 4 or 9, and like super bumpy, super challenging braking zone, really hard work, and like super narrow corners. So if anyone got anything a little bit wrong, you've got 2 cars out.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not the fault of the drivers. What are they supposed to do? Just drive around in single file? No. Like,
it's funny though, because I'm just remembering this, going back to the conversation a little bit earlier about whether or not fans like that kind of race. I remember that Nashville, I think that first year was our highest non-Indy 500 rating in like a very long time.
And I'm not saying that
I know.
I was a proponent of Nashville, and me saying I don't think we should change anything because every series should have one of these races. Like for
it's right.
It's it's our play races, right? Yeah. Like you never know what's going to happen, and whatever Tom, Dick, or Harry's going to win, and that's kind of the luck of the draw, and it's the lottery, and that's cool to watch, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Of all that, the thing that I took away from Detroit, I think that was the most important, was I finally found out a time when Flava Flav doesn't wear a watch around his neck.
Really? Because every time I saw him on TV, he had one on.
He did a 2-seater ride, and they would not let him wear his clock in the 2-seater. So
really?
I saw him standing in a race suit, lined up for the 2-seater, clockless. Never seen Flav clockless before. He was there.
I feel like it would be like that horror story we all read as kids where like the girl takes off the scarf and the head comes off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was I hope he wasn't one of the 2-seaters that crashed or broke.
No, I don't think he was in that one.
That's
all right. I know we're a bit over on time, but do we want to preview the race coming up at all?
Not really. It's Road America. It's cool. Watch it on NBC.
It's Road America. It's awesome. It's the best. You should come hang out and watch us do it.
And I promise it won't be like Detroit.
And James is cooking out Friday. If you find his campsite, I'm sure he'll have extra food for you. All right. Well, I'm jealous. You guys have fun this weekend.
We'll miss you, Tim.